Friday, July 25th in Salem isn't just another day, it's a turning point. A final goodbye sends shockwaves. An old rivalry explodes anew. And Marlena's terrifying condition escalates into a full-blown medical mystery. This is Days of Our Lives, and the drama has never cut this deep. Doug Williams III stands at a personal crossroads, burdened by guilt heavier than the suitcase at his side. After dragging Ariana and Holly into the dangerous underworld of loan sharking, he's spent the last few days on a desperate apology tour, trying to mend what he shattered. But his most difficult visit comes on this fateful morning, as he returns to the Horton house for one last moment with Julie. Julie opens the door, her expression unreadable. The air is thick with unresolved pain. Doug begins to speak, softly, brokenly, admitting he never meant for things to spiral so far out of control. He hands her the necklace, the symbol of his betrayal, trembling in his hand. Julie takes it wordlessly, her eyes glistening with emotion she refuses to let fall. She tells him the truth. Forgiveness isn't something she can give yet, not after what he put their family through. But she's proud that he's choosing to leave before more damage is done. Doug nods. He understands. There are no heroic last-minute reconciliations, just raw honesty. Later, at the edge of town, Doug meets Tate for a final goodbye. He promises the young man he'll stay away, as agreed, no more deception, no more danger. Just a chance for Tate and the others to breathe without his shadow looming. As the morning fog rolls in, Doug steps onto the bus platform alone, casting one last glance at the town that once felt like home. Whether he'll return remains uncertain. But one thing's clear, Doug Williams III is no longer the man he once was. The Salem town square becomes a battlefield as two of its fiercest women collide, again. Gwen von Leuschner, freshly reinserted into DiMera life, walks with deliberate confidence. She knows exactly who she might run into today, and she's ready. Gabby Hernandez spots her first, her jaw tightening at the sight. She doesn't wait long before confronting Gwen with thinly veiled disgust. Back already? Couldn't find anyone else's life to wreck, so you're circling mine again? Gwen, smirking, replies coolly, at least I'm not pretending to be the town's moral compass while stabbing everyone in the back with stilettos. The argument erupts, no longer a battle of wit but a full-on emotional detonation. Gabby accuses Gwen of cozying up at the DiMera mansion to manipulate her way back into power. Gwen reminds Gabby that her own hands are far from clean, naming names and scandals like weapons. Jake. Stefan. Xander. How many wrecks have you walked away from without a scratch? A crowd gathers. Neither woman backs down. Voices rise. Tempers flare. It takes a passing Rafe to break the tension, stepping in just before the argument turns physical. But the damage is done. Salem's old wounds are bleeding again, and Gwen and Gabby have just declared open war. This won't be their last clash. At University Hospital, the atmosphere grows heavier by the hour. Marlena Evans, Salem's trusted therapist and steadfast pillar, lies in a hospital bed surrounded by uncertainty. After collapsing in court during Johnny's trial, everyone expected a simple explanation. But the truth is far more complicated and terrifying. Belle Black clutches a cup of cold coffee outside the room, watching as doctors shake their heads. All tests, MRI, CT scans, blood work, are clear. No stroke, no infection, nothing to explain why Marlena remains semi-conscious, mumbling names that haven't been uttered in years. Stefano, Queen of the Night, she whispers again. EJ grows increasingly desperate. He begs for Marlena to be hypnotized again, convinced her mind holds answers that could clear Johnny's name. But Belle hesitates. How can she consent to such invasive treatment when they don't even understand what's wrong? Inside the room, Marlena stirs again, this time with a vacant look in her eyes. It's as if someone else is peering through her, watching the world from behind a curtain. She speaks of a place that doesn't exist, a black chamber, a shadow crown. Her hands tremble, and her heart rate spikes. Monitors beep frantically. Has Stefano somehow left behind a psychic imprint, something more sinister than any virus or tumor? Or is Marlena's mind simply collapsing under the weight of years of trauma and possession? For now, the doctors are baffled, her family terrified, and Salem stands on edge, waiting to see whether Marlena Evans will emerge from this, as herself. Susan Banks is back in Salem, and she's more eccentric, more insistent, and more certain than ever that her visions are real. With eyes wide and voice trembling with urgency, she corners Johnny DiMera with a wild claim. She saw Marlena collapse before it happened. Not in a memory, in a vision, a psychic warning from somewhere beyond. Johnny, still shaken by his mother's mysterious condition and the shadow of his upcoming trial, tries to dismiss Susan's ramblings. But a part of him, perhaps the same part that's been conditioned by years of DiMera chaos, starts to wonder. Could Susan's gift be the key to understanding what no doctor has yet been able to explain? Susan speaks cryptically, pointing fingers not at people, but at energies, at influences. She believes something, or someone, is tampering with Marlena's mind, clouding her thoughts, maybe even trying to keep the truth about Johnny buried. And worse, she suspects they've only just begun. She sets out to investigate in her own unorthodox way, through tarot cards, intuition, and conversations with the unseen. Most dismiss her antics as harmless. But Susan's convinced she's onto something real. Because in Salem, when the world dismisses the whispers of madness, that's usually when the devil knocks again. At the Kuriaki's mansion, behind closed doors and emotional walls, Sarah Horton finally lets her guard down. Brady finds her sitting alone, hands clasped tightly in her lap, staring at the family photo on the mantel. She doesn't need small talk, she needs to talk. About Xander. About Victoria. About the gnawing fear that she's making a mistake. Brady listens as she opens up. She wants to believe in Xander's growth. She truly does. The therapy, the anger management, on the surface, it all seems promising. But Sarah's seen too much. Too many men in Salem wear the mask of redemption, only to revert the moment they're challenged. And Xander, he has a history written in fire and regret. I don't know if I'm protecting Victoria, she confesses, voice cracking, or if I'm just keeping her from the only father she'll ever have. Brady offers no quick fix, only quiet, steadfast support. He reminds her that parenting, love, forgiveness, none of it comes with certainty. But every moment she waits in fear is a moment lost. Sarah exhales. For the first time in days, she allows herself to hope. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop bracing for the worst, and start believing in the possibility of something better. Friday's episode doesn't just close a chapter, it tears open the next one with a vengeance. Doug departs with a bittersweet farewell, but leaves behind scars that haven't healed. Gwen and Gabby's old feud roars back with vicious new fire, reminding Salem that time does not heal all wounds, it just teaches you to aim sharper. Meanwhile, Marlena's descent into shadows threatens to pull everyone into a terrifying mystery of mind and memory, and only Susan, the town's most underestimated seer, senses the danger circling like a storm. And in the quiet corners of Salem, where choices weigh heavier than words, Sarah must decide whether to embrace faith, or protect herself from another heartbreak. As the sun sets on this explosive Friday, one thing becomes clear. Salem is not calming down. It's heating up, and as always in days of our lives, the truths we fear most are the ones waiting just beneath the surface. Stay with us, because the next twist is already coming.